the shooting range. In this episode, pages of history, 4th Gen model jet fighter, arsenal, best loadouts for the Tornado family, and metal beasts, the flanking pro. Our Metal Beasts section is getting ready for the traditional fall parade of new vehicles. But for now, we have time to ride something fast and fun. How about the VBC PT2, an Italian wheeled prototype of the Freccia IFV? We'll start with discussing the main trait of any wheeled vehicle, and especially an Italian one. We mean speed, of course. This machine's engine compartment houses a 550 horsepower heart that provides a pretty good power-to-weight ratio. It might be inferior to some other vehicles in dynamics, but its top speed enables lightning-quick maneuvers around the entire map. And the farther it goes, the bigger its advantage over tanks gets. If such impressive mobility leads the restless troublemaker into a hotspot, it can always retreat with 22 kilometers an hour in reverse. The second major part of any flanking attack is suitable armament that should be able to hit one unsuspecting enemy after another without a lengthy reload. The VBC's turret houses a two-plane stabilized 25mm autocannon. It shoots discarding sabot rounds and can handle most tanks attacking from the side or the rear. Sabotage attacks also require good rotation speed and firing angles, since each second wasted on aiming may become your last. The most questionable part of this wheeler is its survivability. On the one hand, it has an engine in the front that can sometimes save you from a frontal hit, while the empty personnel compartment in the rear can let subcaliber rounds go right through with no critical damage. You can even use the latter in urban combat, by the way. Just expose the rear that has no internal modules and force the enemy to waste a shell. On the other hand, though, most enemies are shooting at the very top of the machine, meaning the turret. And that's where 2 out of the 3 crew members are found, so any hit here can become fatal. And lastly, there's the auxiliary devices, and these come aplenty. The wheeler has a laser rangefinder, an LWR, redundant controls for the commander, thermals, a recon drone, and smoke launchers. What else do you need when you're a recon unit deep within enemy territory? Similar to a person's life, the history of military vehicles is full of ups and downs. It's often unpredictable and unreasonable. Sometimes flawed tanks and aircraft make it into production and even to actual battles, and only bitter experience gives birth to better replacements. The Vietnam War was one such experience, uncovering lots of unexpected and often unpleasant truths for American pilots. With the spread of guided air-to-air missiles, the U.S. military command was confident that close-quarters combat had become obsolete, but as it turned out, the conclusion was made in haste. Aircraft desperately needed firepower and maneuverability to have an advantage in aerial duels. So aircraft engineers and the military launched an urgent search for a good solution. One proposal was the Fighter Experimental Program, aimed at making an aircraft that would be able to defend itself in close combat, offer unmatched speed, and great maneuverability. The future plane was seen as an air superiority fighter, so its strike capabilities were little more than an afterthought. The contract was awarded to McDonnell Douglas. In 1972, after 3 years in development, they made the first prototype. It was already pretty close to the production version. The company's engineers completed some research together with NASA and decided to drop the variable sweep wing in favor of a modified delta shape. The aircraft was given the best available avionics and the first ever programmable radar system, which meant they could update its firmware to improve efficiency in the future. 2 Pratt & Whitney F-100 engines provided extraordinary flight performance. The early prototype had no autocannon during the test stage, but production units were armed with the classic Vulcans. The Vietnam War proved that a fighter without guns was almost useless. The resulting machine was named the F-15 Eagle and joined U.S. service in 1976. The States also offered this plane to foreign buyers: Iran, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Japan. All of them but Iran purchased the fighter, and history proved their choice right. The Israelis were the first to try the Eagle in actual combat. On June 27, 1979, ace Moshe Melnik opened the score by shooting down a Syrian MiG-21. The fighter was used in more and more combat encounters, and each time it left its battles unscathed. During the Gulf War, the American pilots achieved numerous confident victories over MiG-29s and other aircraft used by Iraq. Of course, having total air superiority over the opponent was a major success factor as well. The history of the F-15 had its downs as well. More than a dozen planes fell victim to malfunctioning equipment. On the other hand, a few fighters managed to survive hits from SAMs, while one even lost half a wing and still made a successful landing at the base. The F-15 took major resources and 10 years to plan and develop, but the investment resulted in a huge payoff. McDonnell Douglas made one of the best modern-age fighters that enjoys demand even 50 years after its conception. Tornado aircraft are widely popular in both air and mixed battles at high ranks. The family features 3 fighters and 5 strike aircraft in War Thunder. Let's talk about the best weapon choice for each of these versions. We'll start with air combat loadouts you can make for the early British Tornado F3, also known as the ADV in the Italian tech tree. The main weapon of both fighters is the Skyflash Temp, medium-range, semi-active radar homing missiles. At this battle rating, it's a pretty reliable weapon that works well in your first meeting with the opponent. For the second line of offense, you have the AIM-9L, close-range, infrared-guided missiles. They don't often have trouble hitting maneuvering targets, but flares can easily deceive the homing device. Speaking of flares, both aircraft can carry extra countermeasures on hardpoints with the Sidewinder missiles. And the last of the 3 is the late British Tornado F3. Unlike its predecessor, it can also carry the long-range active radar homing AMRAAM missiles, Modification B, as well as the AIM-9M with jamming resistance and a low-smoke motor. The strike tornadoes can't boast such a vast arsenal for aerial combat, but they still have a few close-range AAMs for self-defense, as well as standalone pods with flares and huge quantities of chaff. Besides, all members of the family can add up to 2 drop tanks. Their engines are quite fuel-hungry in the afterburner mode, so you might find extra fuel useful on larger maps. You don't need to worry about losing maneuverability when you're flying the Tornado. There's barely anything to lose anyways. If you're going into mixed battles, you'd want to keep your interceptors in the hangar and focus on the strike aircraft. The first loadout we propose is suitable for all models. 12 Mark 83 bombs, 1,000 pounds each. This is close to the maximum load of the plane, so expect a noticeable effect on handling. The best use case for this loadout is carpet bombing areas with clusters of enemy vehicles. It's the only loadout for the premium and gift rank Tornadoes from the German tech tree, but the British GR1 modification has an alternative option. Its best set of unguided weapons also includes a dozen 1,000-pound bombs, but the Mark 13 packs a bit more of a punch. Onto guided munitions. Most Tornadoes are limited to laser-guided bombs. They can carry up to 4 of them, coupled with a targeting pod that provides acquisition and guidance. The British version again offers something unique. Its arsenal can also offer 2 types of TV-guided bombs. You can take up to 4 of them, but we recommend you drop one in favor of a targeting pod. After all, it makes the hunt for ground vehicles much more enjoyable. In real life, the Tornado also served as a platform for all kinds of weaponry that our game hasn't featured yet. So we might get back to the guided arsenal of this family in the future. Meanwhile, it's time to answer some of your questions. The first question was sent by a player called Andres Hoyos. Which are the best strategies in both air combat and CAS for the Gripen C? Hi, Andres. The Gripen has similar tactics to the F-16. Launch your Fox 3s early in the battle, make a defensive maneuver, and retreat to a safe distance. Then you can try to approach the enemy and force a dogfight upon them. For CAS, stick to the Maverick missiles. launch them from the maximum possible distance, and leave the range of enemy anti-air. Milo Wanabo Sorensen asks, explain why I could spawn an A2D1 after getting 4 kill assists with a 4,000-pound bomb for 491 spawn points? Hello, Milo. This could happen because you used active scouting. When your ally destroys a marked enemy, you get a discount for spawning an aircraft. Another question comes from Tea in a Barrel. What's the best loadout for the MiG-23 in? Hi, Tea in a Barrel. We recently talked about the best loadouts for this aircraft. The episode is called PLZ 83-130, the Inferno Cannon. Farian 2010 writes, I wonder why the Japanese planes are usually forgotten. Oh right, all the early planes except the Zero are kinda painful to use. Hey Farian, the list of Japanese prop planes includes quite a number of unique and effective models. It's not just the Zero. Try playing the Ki-43, the Ki-100, the Ki-102, the D4Y, the P1Y, the B7A, the N1K, the Ki-84, the J2M, the J5N, or the Ki-83. And the last comment for today was written by Hans Souza BR. Can you talk about the AMX A1's arsenal? Hi Hans, thanks for the idea. We'll talk about it in one of the future episodes. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget to get a bucket of striped paint, leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.